The boy had no name. At least, no one remembered it anymore. In the Empire's capital city, where giant towers touched the clouds and ships flew like birds of steel, people only called him Boy. To them, he was nothing more than a servant. A shadow in the halls. A hand to clean floors, carry buckets, and fetch food. The boy worked inside the palace of the Emperor, where golden walls shined and soldiers wore armor made of black metal. Every day was the same. Wake before the sun. Scrub the halls until his hands bled. Carry trays until his back ached. And sleep in a dark corner no one cared to look at. No one asked his story. No one wondered where he came from. He was simply forgotten. But the boy carried something inside him. Something no one else could see. At night, when his work was done and the palace was silent, he dreamed of strange things. Dreams of fire, wings that blocked the stars, and voices that thundered in his mind. Voices calling his name, his real name. He never spoke about it. If the guards heard, they would beat him. If the servants heard, they would laugh at him. So he stayed silent. But the dreams never left. One stormy night, the boy was given a new order. Clean the lower archives, a guard barked. And don't touch anything. The lower archives were forbidden. They were old chambers deep beneath the palace, filled with dust, shadows, and relics from forgotten times. Most servants feared that place. It was said to be cursed, holding secrets of the Empire's dark past. The boy did not argue. He carried his brush and bucket, walking down the stone steps until the air grew cold and heavy. The archives stretched like a maze. Broken statues stood in the corners. Strange machines sat lifeless, their wires covered in cobwebs. And on the walls, he saw symbols that glowed faintly, shapes that looked like wings and fire. As he cleaned, his hand touched something hidden beneath the dust. A flat stone tablet, cracked but glowing softly. The moment his fingers brushed against it, the tablet came alive. A pulse of light ran across its surface. The symbols burned brighter, and the air trembled. The boy stumbled back, dropping his brush. Then he heard it. A whisper. Not from his ears, but from inside his mind. You are chosen. The boy froze. His heart pounded. He looked around, but no one was there. Only shadows and silence. The tablet lifted slightly from the ground, as if invisible hands carried it. The glowing symbols shifted, forming words he could not read. Yet somehow, he understood. The tablet spoke of an ancient bond. A bond between humans and creatures of fire and sky. Creatures older than the Empire itself. Dragons. The boy's breath shook. He had seen dragons only in broken paintings and heard about them in bedtime stories long ago. The Empire called them myths, lies told by the weak. But this tablet said otherwise. Your blood remembers, the whisper continued. Awaken us. The boy stepped closer, unable to stop himself. The light reflected in his eyes, making them glow for a moment. His chest felt heavy, like something inside him was unlocking. Suddenly, footsteps echoed in the corridor. The boy panicked. He quickly pushed the tablet back into the dust, covering it with his rag. The light dimmed, but not completely. It still pulsed faintly, as if alive. 2 guards entered, carrying lanterns. What are you doing here so long, boy? One growled. Just cleaning, the boy whispered, keeping his head low. The guard sneered. One kicked his bucket, spilling water across the floor. Useless rat, he spat, and they walked away, their laughter echoing through the chamber. The boy exhaled slowly. His hands trembled, not from fear of the guards, but from the voice that still lingered in his head. We wait for you. That night, the boy could not sleep. He lay in his dark corner, staring at the cracked ceiling. The storm outside rumbled like a giant's growl. His dreams returned, stronger than ever. He saw dragons flying above burning cities. He saw humans standing beside them, not as masters but as partners. And he saw himself, no longer a servant, but standing tall, his voice commanding the skies. He woke with sweat on his face and a fire in his chest. Something had changed. The next morning, as he walked through the palace halls, he felt the air differently. He could hear distant sounds more clearly, the hum of ships, the beating of wings far away. He felt energy running in the walls, like hidden rivers of power. No one else noticed. But he did. The boy's life as a forgotten servant was over, though he did not know it yet. Something had been awakened. Something that would change not only his fate but the fate of the Empire itself. And in the skies above, hidden behind the storm clouds, a pair of ancient eyes slowly opened. Eyes that had been waiting for him. The boy woke before the sun. The palace was still dark, but his eyes were open, wide, and restless. He could not stop thinking about the glowing tablet, about the whisper in his mind. "You are chosen." The words repeated like an echo that refused to fade. He pressed his hands against his ears, but the voice was not outside. It was inside him, deep in his blood. As he walked through the silent halls, he felt something strange. The walls hummed. The floors vibrated. The air itself seemed alive. He could sense things no one else could: machines breathing, ships far above in the sky, even the heartbeat of the guards standing at the gates. He had never felt this before. Something had awakened inside him. Later that day, when he served food in the Emperor's dining chamber, his hand shook. Silver trays rattled. One of the noblemen frowned. "Careful, boy," he snapped. The boy lowered his eyes. "Yes, master." But as he placed the tray on the table, he suddenly heard whispers. Not human whispers, something older, deeper. He looked up and saw a painting on the wall. It showed a battle from long ago, men with swords fighting against giant winged beasts. The beasts had eyes like fire. And the boy heard them. Not just in his head, but in his chest. "Find us." He gasped and nearly dropped the tray. The nobles laughed. One threw a piece of bread at him. "Clumsy rat," they mocked. "Fit only for scraps." The boy bowed and quickly left, but his heart raced. The whispers were following him. That night, he returned to the lower archives. He told himself he was only cleaning again, but he knew the truth: he was drawn there. The tablet was still glowing faintly, hidden under the dust. When he touched it, warmth spread through his hand, traveling into his arm, into his chest. His vision blurred, and suddenly, he was no longer in the archive. He was standing on a mountain of black stone. Around him, fire burned the sky. Giant wings blocked the stars. A shadow moved, so vast, so powerful, it made the ground shake. A dragon. Its scales shone like molten gold. Its eyes burned like two suns. When it spoke, the world itself seemed to bend. "Child of forgotten blood," the dragon rumbled. "Why do you hide?" The boy trembled. I am nobody. I am only a servant." The dragon's voice thundered with anger. "No. You are more. You carry the bond. The bond your kind betrayed." The boy fell to his knees. "Why me? Why now?" The dragon lowered its head until its fiery eyes met his. "Because the Empire has grown arrogant. They have stolen, killed, and lied. But we are not gone. We sleep. We wait. And only you can wake us." Before the boy could answer, the vision shattered. He was back in the archive, his hand still on the glowing tablet. His heart pounded like a drum. He could still feel the dragon's gaze. The following days grew stranger. He could sense storms before they came. He could feel the pulse of the palace walls, as if the stones remembered old secrets. When he closed his eyes, he saw wings and fire. But others noticed his behavior. One evening, as he scrubbed the floors, another servant whispered, "What's wrong with you? You stare at the sky too much." I hear things," the boy said without thinking. The servant laughed cruelly. "Hear things? You're going mad." But the boy knew it was not madness. It was something else. Something powerful. The first real sign came during a storm. The Empire's capital shook as thunder roared and lightning cut the sky into pieces. The boy stood outside, rain soaking his rags, staring upward. Something pulled his gaze beyond the clouds. And then he saw it. A shadow moved across the storm. A shape so massive it blocked the moonlight. Wings stretched wider than any ship. A body made of fire and storm. A dragon. The same one from his vision. Soldiers ran through the streets, shouting orders. Sirens wailed. Cannons were raised toward the sky. People screamed, pointing at the winged giant. The boy, however, did not run. He stood still, his chest burning with strange energy. He felt the dragon's heartbeat echo with his own. The dragon lowered its head through the storm. Its burning eyes scanned the city, and then locked on him. The boy's knees nearly gave way. The world fell silent. Thousands of soldiers shouted, but the dragon ignored them. It looked only at him. "You hear us," the voice thundered in his mind. "You are ours." Cannons fired. Explosions lit the sky. But the dragon moved faster than any weapon. Its wings beat once, and the shockwave destroyed the palace towers. Soldiers fell to the ground, their weapons useless. The dragon hovered above the city, its presence overwhelming. And yet, it did not attack. It waited. The boy's lips moved before he even understood why. He whispered a word he had never spoken before. A word that came from the dreams, from the blood in his veins. The dragon obeyed. It turned its head away from the city, roaring into the storm, as if promising war. The people froze in terror. Soldiers shouted. Nobles screamed. But everyone saw the same thing. The forgotten servant boy had spoken, and the ancient dragon had listened. That night, whispers spread across the empire. The boy commands the beast. The forgotten one is chosen. The dragons have returned. And in the highest tower, the emperor watched from his golden throne. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with fury. "Bring me the boy alive," he ordered. The palace was no longer quiet. Every hall shook with fear. Every soldier carried a weapon, every noble whispered behind locked doors. The dragon's arrival had changed everything. But most of all, it had changed the boy. He still carried trays, still wore torn clothes, still kept his head low. Yet inside, he was different. He could feel the dragon's presence, even when it was not in the sky. He could feel the beat of its wings, the fire in its chest, the storm in its blood. And he could feel something else, danger. The emperor had given his command. "Bring me the boy alive." At first, the boy did not know. But one night, as he carried water through a quiet corridor, he heard soldiers whispering. "They say the emperor wants the rat alive. Why not just kill him?" "Because he controls the beast. The emperor wants that power." The boy froze. His hands shook so badly the water spilled. He ran before they could notice him, his heart pounding. Alive or dead, it did not matter. The emperor would never let him live free. The next storm brought the truth. The dragon returned, wings breaking the clouds, eyes glowing like fire. This time, the city screamed before it even appeared. People ran, soldiers fired weapons into the sky, but none of it mattered. The dragon's roar shook the world. And the boy heard it, not in his ears, but in his chest. "Call me." He whispered again, the strange word that came from his dreams. And the dragon obeyed. Flames poured from its mouth, but they did not fall on him. Instead, the fire struck the emperor's warships. Their metal bodies melted like wax, crashing into the streets. The soldiers screamed. Some ran, others fought. But the dragon moved like a storm given flesh, destroying everything the emperor sent against it. And in the middle of it all, the boy stood unharmed. People saw. Servants hiding in the alleys saw. Merchants covering their children saw. Even nobles peeking from high windows saw. They saw the dragon bow its head toward the boy, while fire burned all around them. And whispers began. "The boy commands it. He is no servant. He is chosen." For the first time in his life, the boy was not invisible. For the first time, people looked at him with awe, not disgust. But the emperor looked with fury. Inside the golden throne room, the emperor's voice shook the walls. "Fools! Do you not see? The beast is dangerous, and the boy is worse. He will not be legend. He will not be hero. He will be mine." The emperor raised his hand. "Send the iron fleets. Send every cannon. And if the dragon resists, burn the city itself." The hunt began. Every corner of the capital was searched. Guards dragged servants from their beds, asking about the boy. Bounty hunters filled the streets, searching for his face. The boy ran. He fled through narrow alleys, through markets filled with fear, through tunnels beneath the city. The dragon followed above, breaking the clouds, roaring like a god of war. But the boy was not alone anymore. Some servants helped him hide. Some poor families gave him bread. Even broken soldiers, tired of the emperor's cruelty, whispered, "Go. The beast will protect you." The forgotten boy was no longer forgotten. The first rebellion started by accident. Cornered near the old docks, the boy found himself trapped. Soldiers blocked the road, their weapons glowing. "Surrender," they shouted. The boy's heart raced. He did not want to fight. He did not want to kill. But the dragon's fire roared inside his chest. He whispered again. The dragon fell from the sky like thunder. Its flames struck the soldiers, turning their weapons into molten rivers. Ships exploded in the harbor. The ground itself shook as the beast landed beside the boy, its wings covering him like a shield. The soldiers broke. Some ran in terror, others fell to their knees. And in that moment, the boy realized the truth. He was not only hiding anymore. He was fighting back. Whispers spread faster now. The boy burns the Emperor's fleet. He walks with fire. He is not servant, he is commander. More people began to believe. More people began to hope. The Empire that once ignored him now feared his name. But the Emperor was not done. In the highest tower, he watched the burning docks from his window. His hands gripped the throne so tightly the gold cracked beneath his fingers. "Very well," he hissed. "If the ancient beast follows him, then I will make my own." He turned to his council of scientists, their faces pale with fear. "Begin the project. The one we kept hidden. The Iron Dragon." The scientists bowed. "Yes, Emperor." The boy sat in the ruins of the dock that night, the dragon curled beside him like a mountain of fire and stone. He touched its scales, feeling their heat, their power. "I am only a boy," he whispered. "How can I fight an empire?" The dragon's eye opened, glowing like the sun. "You are not only a boy. You are the bond. The last of your blood. You are commander." The boy stared at the fire in its eye, his fear slowly turning into something else. Not pride. Not anger. But purpose. For the first time, he believed. And far away, in secret labs beneath the palace, metal claws scraped against stone. Sparks flew as chains held down something massive, something built, not born. An iron beast was awakening. The city still burned. The docks were ruins, the warships were ash, and the people whispered of the boy who walked with fire. But the boy himself did not feel like a hero. He sat in the shadows, his clothes torn, his hands shaking. Beside him, the dragon slept, its chest rising and falling like a mountain breathing. The boy touched its scales and whispered, "I never asked for this." The dragon's eye opened, glowing faint in the darkness. Chosen blood never asks. It answers. The boy lowered his head. He knew the dragon was right. The Emperor would never stop hunting him. And so, the hunt began. Every corner of the Empire carried his name. Posters showed his face. Rewards were promised for anyone who captured him. Soldiers marched through villages, searching every home. Bounty hunters filled the skies with fast ships, each one eager to claim the prize. But the boy was not easy prey. With the dragon beside him, he moved from city to wasteland, from mountains to forgotten ruins. He learned to listen, to the wind, to the fire, to the heartbeat of the world. And everywhere he went, he found whispers. Old carvings on stone walls. Broken statues half buried in sand. Songs sung by tribes who remembered. They all spoke of the same thing. The dragon commanders. Long ago, before the Empire, humans had lived side by side with dragons. Not as masters, not as slaves, but as partners. They fought together, built together, and kept balance in the galaxy. But the Empire had betrayed them. The pact was broken, the dragons hunted, and the commanders forgotten. Until now. The boy began to understand. He was not just a random servant. His bloodline carried the bond. The voice of the dragons. The power to awaken them. One night, while hiding in a ruined temple far beyond the city, he placed his hand on a stone carved with dragon wings. The ground shook. Dust rained from the ceiling. And deep beneath the earth, something stirred. A second dragon. Its body was silver like the moon, its wings stretched wider than the temple itself. When it opened its eyes, the boy felt his chest ignite with fire and light. The dragon bowed its head. And the boy whispered the old word. The bond was made. The next days were chaos. 2 dragons soared above the wastelands, their roars shaking the stars. Soldiers tried to follow, but their ships were torn apart like toys. Bounty hunters fled, their courage burned away. And the people began to rise. In villages long forgotten, in cities ruled by fear, the boy's story spread like fire. The servant commands the dragons. He is the true heir of the commanders. The Empire cannot stop him. For the first time in years, hope returned. But hope is dangerous. The Emperor sat on his throne, his golden crown shining under the firelight. His face was calm, but his eyes burned with rage. "Hope is a disease," he said to his generals. "And diseases must be cut out." He raised his hand. "Send the hunters. Send the assassins. I want the boy's blood." The generals bowed. And deep beneath the palace, sparks flew. Metal claws scraped stone. Chains rattled as something massive tried to rise. The Iron Dragon was waking. The boy felt it before he saw it. While resting in a canyon, he suddenly clutched his chest. The Silver Dragon raised its head, growling. The Golden Dragon spread its wings, restless. A shadow passed over the stars. A presence filled the air like poison. The boy whispered, "Something is coming." The ground shook. From the horizon, ships appeared, hundreds of them. Their black metal bodies filled the sky. Soldiers poured from them like swarms of insects, weapons glowing red. The Emperor had sent his full might. The boy stood between his two dragons, his heart pounding. He was no longer only running. He was fighting for his life, and for theirs. The soldiers shouted, "Surrender the beasts!" The boy's voice trembled, but he did not bow. He raised his head, looked at the dragons, and whispered the old word. Flames burst into the night. The battle was unlike anything the Empire had seen in centuries. The Golden Dragon roared, fire sweeping across the soldiers. The Silver Dragon flew like a storm, tearing ships from the sky. The boy stood on the canyon floor, every breath tied to theirs, every word commanding their movements. But the Empire was relentless. Wave after wave of soldiers came. Cannons thundered. Energy blasts shook the rocks. The boy stumbled, his strength draining. The bond was powerful, but it burned him from the inside. The dragons shielded him, but even they could not fight forever. And then, in the chaos, a new sound echoed. A roar, but not like the dragons. Metallic. Hollow. Cruel. The boy froze. His heart turned cold. From the smoke, it appeared. A dragon, but not alive. Its scales were steel, its wings made of engines, its eyes glowing red with artificial fire. Chains still hung from its claws as it stepped forward, each movement shaking the earth. The Iron Dragon. The boy whispered, his voice breaking. What have they done?" The Golden Dragon growled. The Silver Dragon snarled. The three beasts faced each other, fire and steel ready to clash. And the boy knew the real hunt had just begun. The canyon burned for 3 days. Smoke rose to the stars. The air smelled of fire and metal. The boy stood in the ashes, his chest heavy, his hands trembling. The Golden Dragon and the Silver Dragon circled above him, their wings scarred, their roars tired. Across from them, the Iron Dragon crouched like a predator, its red eyes glowing, its steel wings tearing the sky with every beat. It did not sleep. It did not bleed. It did not feel. The boy whispered, "How can I fight this?" The Golden Dragon's voice thundered in his mind. "You are commander. You do not fight alone." The Iron Dragon struck first. Its fire was not real flame but burning plasma, hot enough to melt stone. The Silver Dragon dodged, its tail striking the Iron Beast, but sparks only flew. The metal did not break. The Golden Dragon roared and slammed into the Iron Beast's chest. The ground cracked. But still, the machine rose, stronger, colder, relentless. The boy felt their struggle in his veins. Each blow shook his bones. Each wound tore at his heart. He cried out, stumbling to his knees. The dragons fought for him, but he was their voice. Without him, the bond would fail. He pressed his hand to the ground and whispered the word. Power surged through him, filling his blood with fire. The dragons rose with renewed strength, their wings shining in the night. Together, they forced the Iron Beast back. But the machine was not alone. The Emperor's fleets filled the sky again, thousands of ships forming a black storm. Soldiers poured across the canyon, their weapons glowing red. The boy clenched his fists. He could not run anymore. He could not hide. If he did, the dragons would die, and the people would remain slaves. He rose to his feet, his eyes burning with light. "I am no servant," he whispered. "I am commander." That night marked the first true battle of the rebellion. The dragons tore through the fleets, their fire burning holes in the sky. The boy's voice carried over the storm, guiding them, commanding them. Villagers hiding in the mountains saw the battle and wept with hope. But the boy knew hope was not enough. The empire was too vast, the emperor too powerful. He needed more. More dragons. The search began. With the golden and silver dragons at his side, the boy traveled across the forgotten lands of the empire. Through deserts of glass, where bones of old beasts lay. Through jungles where trees grew taller than towers. Through frozen seas where the ice hid ancient ruins. And everywhere, the whispers guided him. Here! Awaken us! One by one, he found them. Dragons buried in stone, dragons frozen in ice, dragons hidden in mountains. Some were red like fire, some blue like storms, some black as shadows. Each time, the boy placed his hand on the ground, spoke the word, and the earth trembled. Eyes opened, wings stretched, and another dragon joined the bond. The people began to rise. In villages, banners were lifted. In cities, slaves escaped. Soldiers threw down their weapons, whispering, "The commander has returned." The boy was no longer just a servant with 2 dragons. He became a leader of many. His army grew, not of men at first, but of beasts older than empires. The boy trained with them. He learned how to command their fire, how to move as one with them. He was no longer afraid of the bond. He embraced it. And slowly, he changed. His back straightened. His eyes glowed faintly in the dark. His voice carried not like a servant, but like a king. He was becoming what the whispers had promised. The dragon commander. But the emperor was not blind. From his golden throne, he watched the rebellion spread. His spies reported villages freed, soldiers lost, banners of fire raised across the stars. And in the deep chambers of his palace, the iron dragon grew stronger. The scientists replaced its broken claws with sharper steel. They gave it wings of black engines and a heart of nuclear fire. The emperor stood before the machine, his eyes hard. "You are mine," he whispered. "You will burn his hope to ash." The iron dragon's red eyes glowed brighter, its roar shaking the foundations of the palace. The boy stood on a cliff, looking at the horizon. Below him, dragons rested, their scales glowing faintly under the moonlight. Villagers gathered, watching him with hope in their eyes. A little child stepped forward, holding a piece of bread. "For you, Commander," the child said softly. The boy took it, his throat tight. He was once that child, hungry, forgotten, invisible. Now he was legend to them. He turned to the crowd. His voice was steady, strong. "The Empire will come. They will send fire and steel. But we are not afraid. We are not slaves. We are bond and flame. Together, we will rise." The crowd cheered, their voices echoing into the night. And above them, the dragons roared, their wings spreading like a storm. But far away, in the black void of space, a shadow moved. The Emperor's fleets gathered again, larger than before. And in their center, chained by lightning, the iron dragon spread its metal wings, its roar cold and merciless. The final war was coming. And the boy knew it. He placed his hand on the golden dragon's scales and whispered, "Then let it come. We are ready." The stars trembled with fire. Across the black sky, the Emperor's fleet stretched like an endless storm, thousands of warships, their engines burning red. And at the heart of them, chained by lightning and guarded by soldiers, the iron dragon spread its wings of steel. Its roar echoed across the galaxy, cold and merciless. On the other side, in the ruins of forgotten mountains, the boy stood with his dragons. Golden, silver, red, blue, black, the air shook with their breath. Villagers, rebels, and soldiers who had left the Empire gathered below, their eyes turned to him. He was no longer the servant boy. His clothes were torn, his hands were scarred, but his back was straight, his eyes glowed with fire, and his voice carried the strength of storms. He was commander. The people looked to him for hope. The dragons looked to him for guidance. And even the stars seemed to wait for his word. He raised his hand. His voice was steady. "The Emperor thinks we are weak. He thinks we will kneel. But tonight, we rise. Tonight, we take back the sky." The dragons roared, their wings shattering the clouds. The people cheered, their voices mixing with thunder. And together, they rose. The final war began. The Emperor's fleets fired first. Rivers of red light cut across the stars, striking like knives. The boy felt the heat, the pressure, the death waiting to fall. But he whispered the bond word. The golden dragon spread its wings, fire blazing like a shield. The silver dragon moved like lightning, tearing through ships with speed. The red dragon breathed storms, the black dragon swallowed light. Each one fought with fury, their voices joined by the boy's command. The sky became fire. The Emperor stood on his throne ship, his crown glowing in the flames. His eyes never blinked. "Send the beast," he ordered. Chains broke. The iron dragon roared, its voice so loud it cracked the stars themselves. It launched forward, engines burning, claws glowing red with power. The boy gasped. His dragons froze for a heartbeat, fear shaking even their ancient souls. The iron dragon struck. Its claws cut through stone, its fire melted mountains. The golden dragon roared back, slamming into it with all its strength. The silver dragon darted in, biting at its metal neck. Sparks flew, flames burned, the earth itself split. The boy felt it all. Every wound, every strike, every scream echoed inside him. His knees buckled, blood dripping from his nose. But he would not let go. "Stand with me," he shouted. "Together." The dragons rose again. The battle raged for hours. Ships fell like burning rain. Dragons roared as they fought steel and fire. People on the ground raised banners, crying out for freedom. At last, the boy saw him, the emperor himself, standing on the head of the iron dragon, his golden crown shining under the fire. His voice thundered across the battlefield. "You are nothing but a rat who dares to dream of power. Kneel, or be broken." The boy raised his head, his eyes glowing with dragon fire. "I was a servant," he said, "but I will never kneel again." The emperor raised his hand, and the iron dragon struck, its claws aimed at the boy. But the boy did not run. He placed both hands on the ground and shouted the bond word, not once, but with all his breath, all his blood, all his soul. The earth shook. The sky tore. Every dragon, from golden to black, roared together. Their fire combined into one storm, one voice, one blaze of living power. The iron dragon screamed, its metal body melting under the storm. The emperor's crown cracked, his ship crumbled, his scream drowned in fire. The machine fell. The empire's fleets broke. And silence followed. The boy stood, shaking, blood on his face, fire in his eyes. Around him, the people cheered. The dragons circled above, roaring in victory. The emperor was gone. The empire was broken. But the boy did not smile. He looked at the ruins, at the thousands lost, and whispered, "Let this be the last war." The golden dragon lowered its head, its voice soft in his mind. "It will not be forgotten. You will not be forgotten." The boy touched its scales, his hand steady. "I was a servant. But now, I am commander." In the years that followed, the story spread across worlds. Children spoke of the forgotten boy who commanded dragons. Songs were sung of the rebellion, of the fire that broke the empire, of the servant who became legend. And in the skies, dragons flew once more, not as weapons, but as partners. The boy's name was remembered, carried in whispers, in fire, in the beating of wings. He was the last of the commanders. The one who turned chains into fire. The servant who became legend.